Hey, so I thought I would do an update on my beloved Dodge truck. It's been a long time since I posted anything about this because work got really busy and now work is done for the time being, so I have free time. I've been doing a lot of things on this truck and I have not been filming them because timing and things and equipment just didn't work. So I thought I'd do an update and just kind of share what's been going on. So here we are. The big, beautiful red 1973 Dodge W200. So I've been doing a lot of work to this. I don't think there's a part of it I haven't touched in the last, the last few months. I'll start with the interior. The interior is pretty exciting. So I decided I wanted to freshen up the interior. The seats were pretty bad before, and I'll share pictures of that and kind of how that happened. But I wanted to do something new that kind of kept the original idea, but made it better, I guess. So I did this, and you can see here. It looks like the same design. It's a bench seat. I used the same frame and everything, but I redid the foam. I actually added foam on the side, so there's a little bit of bolster now. And all this material is UV rated, designed for outdoor use, so should be perfectly good for pickup. Seat belts and everything work. Door panels are still gross, old, and disgusting, and falling apart. I took them off a while back to do some stuff, and they're just crumbling and falling apart. But that's for later. We'll fix another time. Dash, haven't touched anything here, aside from the tack from the last video, which works great now. It's good to know what your engine is actually doing. So, while I was doing this seat, I was like, well, if I'm taking it out, I might as well take the fuel tank out too. So, back there is the fuel tank. Yeah, so the fuel tank was in pretty good shape, but it had a lot of surface rust inside. So I took it out and I soaked it in vinegar inside and did some other stuff to kind of clean it up. And I used this special coating and coated the inside. It's like a paint. And it actually helped quite a bit. It doesn't turn gas immediately orange anymore, which is nice because that was gross. Yeah, and the fuel system works fantastically now. I haven't had any problems with it at all. I also added an electric fuel pump, which is down there. So the gas tank over there, fuel filter, tinier fuel filter, fuel pump. It's a solenoid fuel pump. It's designed for carburetors. It's not super high flow or anything, but it's perfect for what we're doing here. And then it goes back into the stock line. I think in hindsight, I probably should have replaced the metal line that goes along the frame rail because it is also rusty inside and turns all of the gas orange. But it's better than what we had before. So that's in there. There was also previously another fuel tank that lived kind of back in there. Kind of see there's nothing really to the frame rails on the other side. There was a big, probably 20-gallon fuel tank that lived there. And I tried to lower it, to take it out, because it seemed like there was some kind of problem with the sending unit on it. And that's the only way you can get to it. And when I did, I noticed it had these huge cracks in the top, and it started spewing gas everywhere. So, it's now sitting over there. Yeah. Nothing too remarkable about it, just a little crappy gas tank. But, I took it out. I don't really need it. It'd be nice to be able to go farther on one fill up, but I don't really care that much. Gas cans are not that expensive. Yeah, and the other cool thing I do on the interior is the carpet. There's a lot of stuff underneath the carpet that happened before I put this in. I got scraps from the carpet too, but I haven't finished cleaning up the edges just yet and putting back all the trim, but yeah, I put some sound deadening stuff below it too. This stuff is amazing. You can buy it really cheap at Lowe's or probably Home Depot too if you wanted to. And it had some mass dampening on the back of the carpet as well, so truck's way quieter now on the inside when you're driving. It's like almost like a modern car, but you can still hear the engine, which is kind of sweet. Yeah, everything else is relatively untouched. Moving to the outside, new weather stripping everywhere, because the old stuff was completely trashed in like every possible imaginable way. And I even did the door sills, or the window sills I should say, and the channels that the glass slides in. All this, camera will focus, is new. All the way around there. And it actually has caused a problem because it grips the glass so well that the glass doesn't want to move. So I might need to fix that at some point. But it's cool. It doesn't leak anymore, so that's fantastic. If we go to the engine bay, if we can get to the engine bay, there's some stuff that has changed there as well. Slowly but surely. I'll just open it with one hand. Ta-da! So, there is a different carburetor on here now, and it is about 1,000 times better than the previous one. I'm not going to tell much about that, like which carburetor it is and all that stuff. It works extremely well. The truck idles way better now. There's way more control over that. It has actual throttle response now, whereas before if you gave it much gas, like from idle, it would die and your day would suck. So it's gotten a lot better. It's actually like really fun to drive now. I haven't driven it too far, but it's like it drives and it responds like a modern, like naturally aspirated car should, which is really well. And not like modern electrical throttle cars, like an actual like throttle cable car. So you can actually tell the engine what to do, and it will do what you tell it to. It's pretty great. Also, the master cylinder was leaking, so I just replaced that as well, blowed all the brakes again, and it's working good. It's probably the best the truck has driven in like at least 30 years, I don't know. In addition to that, I did some wiring for the fuel pump. So I decided to ground the fuel pump at the battery because it seems like the best way to do it, the most foolproof way to make sure it works. So I ran a ground wire from there, that purple one, all the way back over and across, along with this blue wire, which is power, like positive power, all the way down through the frame into the fuel pump. And I also teed off of that wire, you can see right there, to run the new electric choke, which is here. I wish there was a manual choke, but I'm not that concerned about it. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's everything I've been doing to this. I can't think of anything else. I might clean it up a little bit more, but basically right now I'm not driving it because it's really, really hot, doesn't have air conditioning, and I don't want to die from heat exhaustion. It's not fun. I've had it before. And it's up for registration in next month, I think in September sometime. And I don't want to pay like $380 to register something for 1 month and then have to pay it again the next month to register it for the whole year. So I'm just going to wait. Yeah. But I wonder if I can put it. No. Anyway, that's what's been going on here. Truck's looking good. I took it for a short test drive kind of around my neighborhood. Drives fantastic now. It has also become a trash collection point for all of my garbage and leftover car parts. Eventually, when it runs, I will take it to the dump or something and get rid of all the stuff in a good way. It's probably a way to recycle like 95% of this stuff, but yeah, we'll figure it out. Things I would like to do in the future, I would love to do body work on this and paint it not right now. I do not have the money or time for that right now. I do have the time, but not the money. But you know, I think it looks fine now. I think it's kind of cool to drive a truck like this because it has like a lot of character. This is all original paint. It's never been repainted. This is original rust. It's pretty cool. Some people hate it, but if you're from California, it's kind of unusual to see. So, yeah. I'd love to put a stereo in it. I was doing some research on that, and there is actually that stock stereo over there to a modern like single DIN size, which it already is like a faceplate, but the mounting system behind it is pretty contrived and not very great for modifying. But there's an adapter, so that can work. And behind this area in the door panel, there is nothing, and that's where in the later models that use the same basic cab as this, they put the speakers. So you could pretty easily put a sound system in here. I probably want to put some kind of sound deadening or headliner in it, but yeah. Yeah, overall this truck has gone from something I was terrified to drive to something that I'd feel pretty good about driving on a long trip if it was a slightly cooler day, and I'm excited to take it out once I get it registered again for usage regularly. Yeah, but thanks for checking it out. I'll probably have some more pictures before I get to this point at the end, and kind of show kind of more of what I did. Yeah, thanks for watching. So here's some pictures and kind of some information on what was changed. So this is the original carburetor. It had been rebuilt and replaced many, many times by many, many people, and it never really worked that well. And it started to leak out the top, so I was like, rather than trying to find another one, I'd just get a new one. So here's the new one. That's a Holley 2300 Street Avenger, and it woke up the engine incredibly. It's so much more fun now. And here's some details about the seat reupholstery. This is probably the biggest project. As you can see, the seat was pretty damaged before. It was old, it was well used. The foam was exposed and starting to crumble off, and it was rusting pretty badly on the frame. So I noticed that the bones were still good. I mean, the rust wasn't too bad. The foam underneath was all still pretty good. So I decided to restore it. This was right after Corona started and we were all stuck at home, so I thought, what the heck? So the new material, I used 1/2-inch foam backing because the old foam was good, but it was a little bit rough. This is just sort of how I laid out the material. This is test fitting. So repairing the rust on the frame, all I really did here was just sand it and grind some of it down to get back to bare metal, and then use some good Rust-Oleum to coat it so it doesn't rust again. Nothing too fancy, but definitely an important step. And this also cleaned up the interior tremendously because there was no more degrading seat foam dust everywhere. And they built these pretty well, considering this is 45 years old or more now. It's doing good. So putting the new seat cover on, I used hog rings, which is standard. It's the normal thing that you use. And it was actually pretty easy. It wasn't too involved. I thought it would be difficult because I'm kind of doing all this for the first time essentially, but yeah, it was not too bad. As you can see, after the paint, everything cleaned up really well. I kind of left a mess around where I was working there, but yeah, then it installed super easy. And yeah, I'm really happy with the way the colors matched. I kind of bought the material sight unseen, but it worked well. So in the cab, I knew this truck lived in the Rust Belt for a while, and it definitely shows. Yeah, I started taking up the carpet to put the new carpet in, and then all this, I found all that. So basically a lot of this I didn't use any kind of like replacing metal because the metal was still pretty solid, so most of it I sanded it and ground down what was broken and like too bad and had holes in it. And I used some steel stick epoxy and primered over it. I got a new shifter boot too. The new sound deadening is a really cool material you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot, I think. It's called Peel and Seal, and it's really thin. It's like maybe an 1/8 inch thick, and it has this sort of rubbery backing on it that's sticky, and it made the interior so much quieter. Oh my gosh. And there's a new carpet. Carpet install is fun to do, but it's not too many pictures of it. So I didn't take many pictures of restoring the fuel system because that's also there's not much I can really take pictures of, but I completely recoated the tank, and here's the old fuel lever sender. I replaced that because the old one was horrific and it had a hole in it. The new one's actually for a Jeep, believe it or not, but it's the same part, so it worked well. And it's plastic, so hopefully it won't rust. And that's all. That's all I have for this update. Thank you.